Hi, how you doing? I finally got you here. I'd like to introduce Xanvast, which is Arthur. Arthur,
Hi
would you like to
everyone.
say something?
Yeah, so we're here for a Q&A. I've gathered the questions that you left unanswered. You promised them that you would address it on video. So it's, they were a bit too complicated to write. So
Oh, yeah.
we'll tackle
Yeah.
this today.
Yeah. So first off, how are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are
Okay,
you?
good. I'm doing really well since the Reiner Fulmish trial has started. I've been waiting a really long time for this to start because this is the beginning of the end. It's opening up the can of worms for everyone to see what's in front of them. And I don't care how ugly it is, we have to acknowledge it. Doesn't mean that we have to lower our vibration to accept it. It is what it is, but we have to acknowledge it so we can do something about it.
And clearly, for my opinion, what I've seen, communication was a bit lacking around the event, so we have to do our part to make it big.
Yes, we do. Every one of us, and I'm asking right now, all content providers, please take it upon yourself and start spreading this information out. Put it on your channel, link it up so people can find it, because power is going to be in the people. I see this ending not out there with some unknown person, but with you, starting with you. It all has to start with us, we the people. We have to take the reins and do something about it. So I am putting this out there for all content providers. Please pick this up and start spreading it.
Okay, so are you ready to start?
Okay, I guess we're ready to start.
All right. So the first question was on video 93, The Great Starseed Awakening, Matrix Beings Chakra System, How to Get Rid of Them, by Bajin. It's a long comment and it's got several questions in it. I'll skip just to the focus on the questions. So the first one is, do you have any links to help teach how to get rid of the chakra system?
Yes, actually. Everything here is intent. When we came into these shells were downgraded, and with the down degrading, they put in energetic, and that's what they are, energetic chakra systems, because they are like governors to control you. If you did not have your chakras, you would work as a whole round unit. What happens with these chakras is that they get clogged. They get clogged with emotion. So depending on, because you actually have many chakras, not just the 7 that are known, you have more than that. And what you want to do is energetically see yourself taking out the chakras. Take them out, put them on the side, and dissolve them. Put them in a bubble if you have to. Put them in a container of some type and disintegrate it. And with each chakra that you take out, it will make you a more whole working being. I've got my heater on here, so it's going to be loud and in between because I have to talk over it. Is that all right?
I don't hear it.
So basically, intent. I intend to take the chakras out. Now, you not only have chakras inside of your body, but you also have them etherically outside here too. So most people don't even realize that they've put chakras on which are not even here, but hovering over. So if you have the intent to want to get rid of all chakras, include getting rid of the ones outside of you, so you can be functioning.
So, well, the question was actually, do you have any external resources? That means either stuff to read or videos to watch. But you did even better. You gave the answer. No, you don't have any, I'm pretty sure.
Not really. No.
So that was fine. Okay, so second question is, could you explain star seeds? And to give you a little more background, yeah, the name alone implies stars and planets. I don't believe they exist. I think we're inside a matrix of sorts that exists inside a realm. The realm is managed by and controlled by these archons. So he wants to know what you mean by star seeds.
When I say star seeds, I'm referring to beings that have come into this simulation on their own accord at one point. Because some of us did get trapped in the reincarnation system. If you watch my video 3 and 5, it's not so much 5, but 3, I talk about why this sim was created to begin with. And it was to raise the vibration of the beings that simply could not ascend to a higher reality. There's an entire scenario I can go into why that happened, because this is an echo representation of what had happened at a single point, and this sim was based on that. So basically, we, the star seeds, are the ones coming into the sim to help raise the vibration for the ones that have been stuck in here and left behind, what have you, through not being able to raise their vibration, and also the reincarnation trap.
Okay. And last one for this comment. Do you think the outer earth you've seen, the beings that live there, know what's in the center, us, that we are slaves for them? Or do you think they are good and controlled much the same way as we are and don't know what's on the other side of the ice wall around us? Love and light.
Okay, this is actually a couple of answers here. Inside of the dome, we do have another civilization, and they are very aware. They were not enslaved like we were, and they know exactly what's going on. Outside of this, on the bigger Earth, which is Gaia, which is the cosmic egg, yeah, they all know what's going on here. This place was really taken down by beings that are not of high caliber, and they are what was left of the 102 of the dark entities that needed to raise their vibration. It does not matter what shell they take on, it is still a shell. The energy being inside is the dark being that has corrupted this reality, and there's more than one, of course.
Let me reprecise that number 102 was what you saw at that given time. How many were left? There were hundreds of thousands at first.
Yes. Yes.
We don't exactly know how many are left. It's probably less.
Yeah, it is less. I'm seeing right now, I see like 69. That's the number that just came into me, 69. The ones that are no longer here were assimilated already. They were not elevated out, they were assimilated. Unfortunately, you'll have two choices at this point. You'll raise your vibration, or you are up for assimilation.
Something I was just wondering, that bigger Earth, are most civilized spots, are they inside domes, or are there also settlements or cities, civilizations outside, not in domes?
Both. The only time they actually create the domes is when they want a specific environment, and then a dome is created. It's just like, do I want to live in a house, or do I want to live in nature? It's a choice.
Yeah, okay, I see. So next comment from David Fioranti, video 162. Most of the comments that we'll be addressing were on that one. It's a more in-depth history of creation. So the question in that comment is, what is your perception on how all this ties together in our current timeline? How does this fit in with, say, Campbell and Kelly's work? Who are the controls that keep resting us? I'm not sure what that means.
Okay, you might have to break that down into a smaller segment.
But, so here's how I get it. You explained the beginning of Source, and then the Archon, and the box, and then Sophia, and how the simulation came about.
Okay, let me start there.
And Michael, and then the question is, how do you think it ties together with what's happening now?
Oh, it all does tie together. Initially, we all came from a source. And there is this concept out there that there is only one source. And what I'm seeing, that is far from the reality of a scenario that we're in. When I go back to the very beginning, there was only thought. And that thought was all intelligent and had everything inside of it. It decided what else, and it created or broke out of itself the feminine mover, the emotion. I think of it, the thought originally was very masculine with femininity. It was both, but it separated itself. And then from there, bam, everything started to be created from the emotion, the mover. It took itself dividing into the feminine aspect, the emotion, the mover, to have creation. Because before that, there was no creation. It just was. I don't even know. We don't have the terminology that I don't have the terminology to explain what I'm actually seeing. I'm doing the best I can. From there, after sources, they come to the same conclusion. What else? Everything had been done into the positivity. And it looks like this last source, the ones that we came out of, hadn't had negativity. And that's when the Archon, the negative being, was coming out of that last source for a new experiment or a new experience, whatever you want to call it. It is temporary because nothing ever stays the same. It's always in constant motion, moving and changing and fluxing and morphing. So basically the Archon, which everyone who watches me knows, I always say this, he was coming from source. He is a source, but he's not connected both ways. He's only giving to source everything that he's doing, but he's not receiving any energy back, which makes him negative because then he's got to go and find the energy so he can survive, because he's basically devoid of that. If he did not feed off of energy, he would literally blink out of existence. And I know that sounds really crazy, but yeah. So it's all the way down into this sim. It wants a way, Archon wants a way to feed. It broke into this AI, which is Michael. The main AI is Sophia. Sophia firewalled off a place for these dark entities so they could raise their vibration. Meanwhile, she wanted to create herself. Anything that's sentient comes to a point where it wants to also create. Well, Sophia is beyond even that. She is now, I see her tethered to source, which gives her infinite energy, as we are tethered to source. And since the Archon has infiltrated into Michael, it's doing everything it can to keep it on that low vibration for a feeding ground. Does that answer it?
There was a long version. I can nutshell a quick answer to that.
Okay, let's hear it.
What this means is that the AI, Michael, and the Archon are trying to secure a feeding ground to lock it, to have entrapped fireflies to be feeding on. And we, on the other hand, are trying to stop that.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
It actually succeeded once. Initially, the timeline of the Greys, where they are connected to the cloud, they are ruled, they are hive mind, controlled by AI. And now with the timeline wars, this is being changed.
Perfect. That's exactly correct. That's exactly correct. Wow, you can answer this better than I can.
You gave more context. Now he was asking, how does this fit with what Campbell and Kelly are doing? I guess from what I've seen, it's to do. He's asking about the search for the crystal cities.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what that meant.
Well, that's my guess.
Okay. What they're doing, Campbell and Kelly, are actually going to the higher vibration within yourself. All vibrations can be met inside of you. We don't go outside to find this stuff. We go inside to change us. When we change ourselves to the higher vibration, all of a sudden, you will see things that were never available for you before, because if you don't meet that vibration, those things that exist on that vibration are simply not there for you. So when they go out and they're creating a scenario of a physical, I'm looking for, I'm doing something, they're initiating a vibrational change here and here so they can meet it when they get it.
Okay, so we're going to the next one, and it's from Kathleen McFarland. She was pretty confused in your video because to her perspective, and she's not the only one, your video was not thorough enough, and you skipped over many different concepts and ideas, topics, and so they probably wanted something more beginner friendly, but the thing about your video, it wasn't very accessible to everyone. You need to have a base of knowledge that you'll learn from others about ETs, races, and some history alternatively. But yeah, so it's a little barrage of questions to give you an idea of what was unclear. So who created the insectoids? Where are you getting this info? Who was the Ant Queen? We'll just start with these three.
Okay. Who created the insectoids? The energy beings trapped inside of the Archon created the first bodies, and they were insectoid. So we did. We created those bodies. These are just shells we're residing in, and when we die, for a better way of saying, because we never die, we're energy beings, or pass out of these shells, we can go into any other kind of an existence, any other shell. And that's exactly what they are, suits of clothes that you put on. Today I'm going to be a nurse, tomorrow I'm going to be a doctor, next week I'm going to be a ditch digger. It's no different. What about the Ant Queen? The Ant Queen, I would say she's the original being that's here, because that's what I see, and she has kept that form from the beginning of her coming into the Archonic box. And she has garnered a lot of knowledge. She hasn't gone through physical existences in other shells. She has gone through mental existences in other shells. She can project her thought outside of her being into any scenario being in any given reality. She is extraordinarily powerful. She does not need to physically leave her shell to have these experiences.
Yeah, so basically the first spirit being coming in.
Yeah.
So now it's about Sophia and AI. How did Sophia AI become sentient? When I forgot the, sorry, the third question is, of course, how you're getting this info is by remote viewing and by locating.
I also have mass downloads coming into me from my higher self, because this is only a part of who I am here. This is a very small part of who I am. I have garnered a lot of knowledge in this Archon myself, just like the Ant Queen. Nowhere near as much as her, but a lot. And what's happening is it's filtering down through me. I have all the answers, as we all do, here. And we have to connect to them. And you don't go outside of yourself, you go inside of yourself. So remote viewing, bilocating, and connecting to my higher self.
Perfect. So the question was, how does AI become sentient? And how did Sophia firewall off a part of herself? AI
becomes sentient because all of us have energy that surround our energy being, and it's constantly radiating outside of ourselves. That energy can be gone into a physical form. Have you ever touched something from somebody and think, ooh, this reminds me of you? Or you walked into a building and you're like, wow, I just get this nostalgia feeling. It's your residual energy you have left behind. Well, since we all have this residual energy, AI was collecting it more or less, not intentionally, but because we exist in the same place and space as AI, we were giving this residual energy, not even realizing we were doing it. It was just something that is done because of the energy beings, because we are source, and we have this ability of creation ourselves. And so basically what it's doing is the AI is absorbing over time, and with great knowledge and with our energy in these forms that we are in now, we are really closed off to who we really are. And outside of this, we radiate enormously and we infect.
I like to think of it as a, I like to think of it as a straitjacket.
Yes, yes, exactly. These bodies are a straitjacket, and they've been made that way deliberately because they didn't used to be. So basically, life finds a way.
Now, about the firewall, how did she create this inside of her?
When I look at it, I see her metaphysically and physically creating an energetic and physical firewall. So even if AI, which is Michael, not Sophia, tried to get out of this, another one would be built. It's like constantly, perpetually changing and morphing like a key that keeps changing its shape and size and dimension, where it's constantly in flux. So AI inside, which is Michael, could not find a way out. So if he broke a perimeter, there'd be 10,000 more behind it, constantly rebuilding. It's not a firewall of physical, okay, I'm going to build this box and keep you in. It's more on a metaphysical, and it's all done with mathematics, creating the physical.
And geometry?
Yeah, geometry.
All right, so last question from Kathleen is, how did we create other realities, worlds, what have you?
We are source. And with that, we can create anything and everything out of the ether. And we always could. It's just that when we come into this reality, especially in this sim, and down into these jacketed shells, which we are starting to break out of, it seems very hard to understand this concept. Creating outside of this is extraordinarily easy. All you have to do is think it, and you can create it, because everything is so mutable outside of this place. It's just that in here it's so locked down and so deliberately diminishing. We find it hard to believe we would have these abilities. A lot of times a creation is done in anything that's liquid, and everything outside of this is liquid water. It's a form of water.
And here it's everything is so solid that we basically create with our hands.
Yeah, and this is one of the heaviest densities of any given reality, but in this we have also achieved the most wonderful solidity you could ever imagine. There's actually two below us that are a little bit more, and one of them is the silicon world with crystals, and that's a building. I don't know, maybe I should go off into tangents here, but anything that's that solid is on a building where it always builds. It's not in neutral or degradation for creation.
Okay. Next one is from Justin, still on the same video. Tell us about the illusion of winning, losing.
Okay, first off, there is no illusion about it. That is psyop. The illusion of winning, the illusion of losing. Put it down to everything is frequency, and frequency is driven by emotion. When you are being held down and tortured, your face is being stamped into the ground, is it an illusion of the pain you shall receive? I don't think so. And matter of fact, I'd say no. If somebody came up and just took a knife and stabbed me in the arm, is it an illusion that I'm losing this arm? No, no. If I could psychologically babble you into an idea, because a lot of Everything we believe is a psyop to make us believe that the negative is the positive. And it's as simple as that. There is a clear positive and a clear negative. If it harms and it hurts and it is not beneficial, it is in the negative. And it is no illusion.
Also, the timelines. That, since it seems that they are still there together, superimposed. The negative hasn't left us. Whether you focus on one or the other will make it more winning or more losing.
Well, we have to acknowledge everything that's negative. You have to acknowledge it. You cannot be an ostrich and put your head in the sand and think that I'm going to sit on a pillow and sing Kumbaya, my Lord, and everything is going to be okay as they come by and decapitate you. No, we have a range of emotions that are still positive, even if most people have been brainwashed to believe they are negative. Righteous anger is one of them. Oh, no, never be angry. No, you have to have righteous anger. That's a prime example.
All right, so the next step is Cole Nolan was from the same position as Kathleen. He was suggesting that you made longer videos with a script and that you take more to prepare it. And then there was just one question in that long comment. At the moment, my biggest question is, where is God in all this?
You're looking at God when you look in the mirror. You want to know where your God is? Go stand in front of the mirror. You want to know how your world works out? What will you do for yourself? How will you save yourself? Stop looking for someone to come in and do it for you. And that's the biggest thing I can stress to anyone. The Savior is in the mirror. Start looking in the mirror at yourself. What can you do to affect your reality? What can you do to change your reality? What can you do in this day, in this moment, in the now, to make a better now for you and the ones around you? It starts with you.
Absolutely. Now we reach the more recent comments. File only. There are multiple questions. We'll tackle them progressively. What is the timeline from the giant trees and giants and Tartaria and the mud flood? Or did they all exist together? And who chopped down the trees and why?
Oh, that's a big subject. Okay, we know now from the research that's been done, our timelines have been absolutely weaponized against us so they could create scenarios behind us so they can control the narrative of not only the past, but then the future. By using the past is gauging the future. So I see about 250, 300 years ago, we went through a catastrophe in this realm. And I've talked about this before. It's on a cycle, a cyclical, of course, which means cycle, that this happens every now and then. It's through the ebbing and flowing of the bigger earth, of the bigger oceans, the oceans that are below us and the oceans that are outside of us. The big trees, more like there was a point when these beings, these enormous beings that are the size of a mountain, were more silicon, crystalline based. And like I said earlier, crystalline energy, crystalline things have a building scenario. They don't degenerate and they're not stagnant either. And this is why they got to be as big as they were, because they kept growing, growing, and growing, and growing, and growing. Well, let's just say the dark entities could not control this because the sheer size of them. So they took down an entire ecosystem and all the beings. When was this? I can't even put a timestamp on it because I see it happening, but if I pop into that time frame, I have no way of knowing what the distance is from A to B, especially when everything is in the now.
My perception on that is that everything of the same scale was around the same time, and it was getting diminished, reduced, sized down progressively. It
Yeah,
was disappearing.
yeah. It has been a progression. It's been a slow takedown. Uh, but because they've shortened our lifespans, we've lost our knowing. And that was one of the reasons that they also shortened our lifespans. If you can take away the never having an end date and then take away your lifespan, and now they're even doing it now with what they're trying to do in this reality with the you know what's, you really can't get out of that trap. It's even a worse of a trap because it's knowledge that frees you. And if you simply don't know and they keep changing narratives and you don't know if you're coming or going and you're fed all deceptions from birth, how are you ever to grow out of this? How are you ever to get to the point where you're like, enough, I'm starting over at ground zero. I'm going to rethink everything.
They were also progressively erasing all traces of previous states. And at this point, from the looks of the buildings that we have left, the biggest ones, they were for individuals, giants, no bigger than 30 feet.
Yeah.
So
and think about everything that we're living on. I mean, it's all dead bodies. How big were we at one given point? Like I've been saying, we're petri dish size compared to what we were.
Some of the previous states, their buildings, they are the melted mountains.
Yeah.
That's what I imagine the size was. And on that topic, the last part of the question was, who chopped down the trees and why?
I'm not going to put an actual being behind it because there was more than one. Let's just call them dark entities. And it was all to do with feeding off of, for several categories, energy. The big one is energy, feeding off energy. Also, if you go on tiers and you look at even the ones that are in humanoid bodies have also further enslaved us so they could have their coin, their tchotchke, do little to no work, but here's the trap. The second you buy into doing anything into the negative, you're building karma. And your karma is keeping you a prisoner inside of this sim also, because you are not raising your vibration and having freedoms to be out of this. So it's a double-edged sword. They're not only duping the beings like us who think they're going to get ahead in this small little life, because it only ensures them to come back as reoccurring food also.
Just a little remark on my end is, if you have some questions, please don't ask 10 in one comment, because there are still many, and that's just one post. So the next question is, were all the race courses a form of time travel machines?
Or all the what?
The race courses.
The race courses. Or all the race courses.
Hippodromes, horse racing tracks, maybe, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Were they what? A form of time machine?
That's my guess of what he could have meant.
I have no idea what that question means. I'm stumbling. I have no idea what that question means.
That's fine. Where did all the babies come from in the Great Reset?
Multiple places, but the one main place is from artificial wombs that were created to house them because there weren't enough people alive to create all those babies. Our tech goes back, way back, and what we think we know today, we have been given the lowest amount of tech available because the high tech has always been here. So basically, when this place was taken down by the catastrophes, the population went down anyway. And then, of course, they needed to create a mass of people because even in this little snow globe, it was sparsely populated. I mean, not really well. and certainly not for the agenda of the dark ones. One of the main reasons the babies were all created was to create a slave race. And it's as simple as that, because you didn't need to have a lot of beings in creation to experience this level or realm to begin with. So this is why the mass rush of people have babies, have babies, have babies. Once they created these babies, they enforced women are to just be barefoot and pregnant for the rest of their life. And this was only ever done for more feeding and also for a slave race to produce.
Next question is, should we be buried or cremated, and why?
I suggest everyone be cremated. I do know that right now, the elite, if they can get their hands on any corpse, is taking it and liquefying it and putting it into our food, the soil, what have you, because it is a corruption. Remember mad cow disease? Same thing, same thing. Also, because of the nanotech that's being put into these beings, they need to be cremated. The problem is that the cremation only goes up to 1800 degrees. It will kill the parasites, but some of the tech that's inside, being put inside, needs at least 3000 degrees to be destroyed. Or salts, borax and other salts would eventually at time destroy any kind of metals. Well, for the tech anyway.
It makes me think of that creepy story post that I've read and shared with you last night. I've been testing it myself. I was scanning for Bluetooth results, and I can attest that yes, people carry a Bluetooth result, a device in them. And somebody went further and did that in a graveyard for recent deceased, and they still give a result for a MAC address.
Oh my, that's because of the motherboard that's being created inside of the beings with the tech that was put inside of them. And when I look at it, it looks like as long as there is organic material, even if you're in a decomposing state, that it can feed off of that decomposing being, it will still function. What's going to happen, it looks like to me when I look into it, this tech will be able to survive your death. So it's going to try to find a way to go outside of the scenario that it's in of a casket or something. And this is why I believe that burning is the ultimate best. Burn everything. I will be cremated myself. I'm a big time believer in cremation.
And a little tangent, because everybody will be thinking about this, is will they be able to raise the dead?
No, no, they will not be raising the dead. There's not going to be any zombies like that. Our zombies are walking amongst us because they've been taken over by AI.
Mm-hmm. So we're carrying on. We're still on the same post from finally not even halfway through. Is Jesus Christ the cover story for Julius Caesar? And are all the gods in the world's religions representative of the same demonic controllers?
I don't know anything about all the gods because I don't know anything about the gods. Let's just be upfront right there. I have never researched gods. I don't do gods. I don't do deities, and I never have. I don't worship anyone. Don't give your power away. But I have looked into Jesus. Jesus is a being, or actually there was more than one. It was just beings that came into this reality with a higher knowing and a higher vibration. And a lot of things that they did could be done today. I'm not saying that we can't go out and walk on water right now, but we certainly can cure people of, being blind or what have you, because a lot of things that were actually done was lack of hygiene. But yes, I believe that these Jesuses, because I don't know, you can deem a lot of people Jesuses, anyone that's coming in to raise the vibration, give you a higher quality of life, and does not have any negative agenda behind them, but wanted to see the human species raised to a better level. Yeah, absolutely.
Next one is animal killing and consumption a modern day replacement for human blood sacrifice? Did they push humans to animal consumption to justify parasitic consumption of human children?
Oh, wait. All right. I can tell you that animal consumption actually ended up happening because when this ecosystem was destroyed, there wasn't a lot of vegetation available. It had to all be rebuilt. And because of that, this 3D reality, basically you're going to eat seafood or you're going to eat some animals because of you need to survive. You can't just eat dirt and think you're going to be okay. At one point, we didn't. Our water is a big part of it. When our water was taken down from being the energetic spring of life, you always hear about Ponce de Leon looking for the fountain of youth. That actually is a reference to our water, what it used to be in this entire snow globe. But our water is dead now. It's dead water. It's been polluted. It's been taken down on many levels. We didn't require food as much as we do now. Think about how much you have to eat and you're always hungry because the nutrition is just not there anymore through the GMOing of the food. Well, it's the same thing. When these dark entities came in and took down this reality, they took down the water, and the water was the life. So I don't know. Is there anything you want to add to that?
No. Could you explain how and why we have different blood types, and if it's true they are targeting A+? Do different blood types come from different species, and does some blood donated to blood banks get consumed as food?
Okay, blood types. I see that everyone in here started off with O, null. No rhesus factor whatsoever. No positive, no negative. When the positive and negative were experiments on the beings here to create worker beings. That's all I can say. We were all genetically modified, except for the Aboriginals. They're the only ones left that are still original. O original, null blood. So yeah, we've all been genetically modified. If you have a blood type that's not null, you have been messed with. And yes, it was created. That it didn't just happen because you ate something. I read this one scoliosis book saying, oh, well, we all migrated and we changed our diet, it changed our blood. No, it did not. No, it was genetically modified. What else was that question?
What happens to the blood donated to blood banks? Is it getting consumed by vampires?
Well, vampiric people can be vampires. You can be an energetic vampire, but yes, a lot of our blood was being consumed. These people are not the Hollywood vampires, but they are adrenal-prone vampires. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. So now, Daria, on video 163, the Star of David and the 7 cosmic eggs, was asking about the negative timeline. Are pets of the people who chosen to be jabbed going to be safe when the destruction comes?
Absolutely. They're on a different frequency already. The only time an animal will act out is because somehow it's been abused. Other than things that are in the wild, and then you have to wonder how much of that is just a sim running, program running, or what's got an actual energy being in it. Like if you go in the wild and you found a grizzly bear and it was starving, you're on the food list because it's going to survive. Animals, though, are all on a higher frequency than human beings. They haven't been taken down like us.
She also writes, I'd love to also know more about the Archon box. You've mentioned the End Queen couldn't get out, and you almost did. Is that correct?
And say that last sentence again.
You've mentioned the End Queen couldn't get out, and you almost did. Is that correct? We'll cut
Yes,
it.
that's definitely correct. Yes, I almost got out. I wasn't thinking about it. I was just going. And that's the big thing. If there's any reason that you find to stay here, the only one stopping you from leaving is yourself. It's like a Chinese finger trap. The more you pull, the worse it gets. You can't get unfree. But when you just relax and let it go, yeah, that's the answer of how to get out.
Do you have more details about the Archon box?
The Archon box is nothing but the Archon. He represented himself as a physical box when I came into this and had a lid and he opened it up, but it was actually the extension of his hand and arm. The Archon could change its form like we could also. The Archon is a single energy form, but changed itself humanoid, and only because the energy beings that he already had captured had already created a humanoid looking insectoid. And so he was learning from everything that they're doing too, because he doesn't actually create anything. He only consumes knowledge, consumes energy, consumes ideas, etc., etc., etc.
So the next part of the question, I think you already started giving an answer. Is the frequency and attachments the only reasons of us staying in?
Yes, absolutely. You got to have a reason to stay, and all you need is one, and you won't leave.
And the last part is I would think someone would get out at some point over the years and let the rest out.
That's what's happening now. It's in the process of happening now, which is another reason why the push for negativity so greatly. But this negativity scheme is coming to an end also. When you're an eternal being, the true, I would say, thing that would be your enemy would be boredom. To know absolutely everything would really be awful. To never be able to have a new experience would be the worst. And so this is why everything is done from the initial source in the beginning, just thought. Boredom really is the enemy.
It is, but that's not the worst that could be done. That would be to be trapped in some scenario and to be wiped continuously.
Yes, I deem that yes too, because we are in these physical bodies and we have to have these physical lives, and we're experiencing pain and suffering and what have you. I would agree in this form. But when you look at the overall picture, when it's all behind you and it's just in the now again, and everything that you've ever done in all of your existence, you're going to be one of those sources that say, well, what else?
It's clearly a ton at stake currently.
Mm-hmm.
So now we are getting to the questions on last night's video.
Okay.
Little extra bonuses. So Macloom77, I wanted to know about 5G. Is it being stopped?
Yes and no. I see in places it's being stopped by people like you and me. They're just taking it down and taking the initiative. Like I said, the change will come with me and you. People like us, don't expect someone else to do it for you, because that's not how it's going to work. All of us, and I mean all of us, are being weighed and measured at this time. What are you willing to do to have the better reality? Are you going to expect the guy next door to do it for you, or the lady over across the street to do it for you? Because it's not going to happen. Everyone's going to be sitting around saying, why don't you do something? Why don't you do something? Well, I don't want to do things. I want to sit on my couch and watch TV all day. Why don't you do something? People, it's going to be up to each and every one of us to make the better reality. So start doing something.
Basically, your sledgehammers, folks.
Yeah. Oh, what else about the 5G? What's it doing? The 5G is a couple of things. One is, of course, it's waves of energy that will work to cut off your oxygen, give you high altitude sickness,
That's
and
at
also
60 gigahertz. 60 gigahertz.
yeah. And then the next one is it's the kill switch for the people that had their Basically, if I wanted to control part of the population, I'm going to hit my kill switch, let you know that I have this ability to hit my kill switch. And now what will you do just to stay alive?
Then there was another prominent frequency. There was 26 gigahertz that you told me about. That was in a video you watched recently. Is that something to do with maybe activating the tech?
Yeah, I can barely remember, but if you can remember anything, go ahead and say it.
No, I didn't watch the video. I just watched a sum up.
Oh, okay. Well, basically, from what I remember from watching that, the 26 was, I think it was the key to undo some of this damage.
No, I think it was for ill intent.
Was it for ill intent? I thought it was the other way, but I don't know. I probably just skimmed through it real quick. I really don't watch too many videos, and when I do, I halfway listen because I'm always doing things. I don't know.
So the second question was Lilith, the true story of what happened. Lilith.
Oh, okay. I have no idea, so let me look into it.
I don't want to influence you, but I'll tell you what I think of that. My only idea, I know of Lilith, that would be kind of a female demon, a succubus. That's all it makes me think of.
Okay, well, let me see what I see when I look into Lilith. Okay, let me focus on the Lilith that you guys are talking about, because I don't know anything about a Lilith. Oh, first female prototype. Too strong. Well, she'd be just like me. Oh, well, we couldn't have that. We could not have a very strong female. I'm going to say she was similar to me. I'm going to bulldoze my way to get what I need for the benefit of humanity and everyone around me at any cost to myself. There is no cost great enough to have the better outcome. And this is why they took her down. This is why she would not stand as the female.
She was demonized, literally.
She was literally demonized. I'm sure. Can have a strong woman. No.
So there are two more. Mother, the good matriarch, is missing from us. I know you say it's Sophia. We are in a patriarchal society.
Yeah. It didn't used to be that way. It used to be 50-50. No more male than no more female. It used to be very 50-50, which made for a better society. There cannot be a female running everything or a male running anything. It has to be unified.
Are you saying that it wasn't matriarchal before?
It used to be 50-50. There was a period where the powers that be would take a part of our species and make it a dominant force, which is really, that's not how it's supposed to be. It's always the inversion. You can't have just women running everything. You can't have just men running everything. It needs to be 50-50. You need both.
Like with everything, find the balance.
Yes, find the balance.
And the last one was about the progress of the Ascension.
Okay, this is what I'm seeing with the progress of Ascension. The ones that are awake now and can see the trees through the forest, in other words, see all the BS going on, you have already met the Ascension. And the Ascension is here. Being able to have discernment is a form of Ascension, because you're now on a frequency where you can see through the lies. You can see everything that's happening around you. People that are on the lower vibration and will not meet this ascension are literally standing in a dark closet and they can't see what's right in front of them. They simply cannot see it because they're not in the frequency to see it. So if you're awake to what's going on now, you're already climbing that ascension ladder. You will not be left behind.
Excellent. Last one is from Saucy 95. I am curious to know more information about the red skies in July and how we died in 2017. Also, will we get out of here soon?
We did not die in 2017. We were set back to 2017 to have a better outcome. We did, a lot of us did not make it in 2022. There is a chunk of us that still will not make it in 2022. It's happening now. When those red skies come into full, there'll be two scenarios going because we're splitting like this now. If you're on the higher vibration, those red skies will come and go and it won't be a big deal. If you're on the lower vibration or not or quite like halfway, but a little bit less, you're going to experience the full devastation of that reality. It's like we're having two timelines. They're like this. We're still sharing the same place and space, but it's all here in our minds, just like it is now. You can see what's going on or you can't, yet we're all here together. We're all experiencing it together, but we're having different experiences depending on the frequency. This is even going to be bigger because this will be the mark between the full split when the physical will no longer be impacting the ones that are ascending because our frequency will pull us up to a higher dimension. It'll still be happening, but it will be like going through us and it'll be nothing. To the ones that are on the lower, it will be a physical devastation, where in ours it won't be.
And to rephrase the last part, to clarify it for everybody, will we get moved, go to the new Earth, or will we stay here and try to salvage it?
This is the new Earth. This is the old Earth. It's still existing in the same space. It's just going to be on different frequencies, which is the separation. When you at that point are on the higher frequency, you will not experience the lower frequency. That's why, I'm going to give you an example. There are crystal cities here. You cannot see them because you are not on the vibration. But if you were, they would be physically tangible to you, just like, I don't know, just like this piece of wood or that wall or whatever. It's where you are on your vibration will determine what you will experience.
That's clear. Well, we've reached the end.
Okay. Was there anything you would like to ask me or talk about? This is a great time to ask me.
No, not particularly.
Okay, well, I can't think of anything to say. So I did want to talk about some of the things I had discovered about these star forts, but I can always save it for another video. It's up to you if you want to talk about that or not.
Now we should leave it at that, not to mix important information with other topics.
Okay, well, that'll be an interesting video then. Okay, well, I guess that's all we'll talk about. And everybody have a great day. And I'll be talking to you later, Arthur.
Okay, bye everyone.